everybody. Good afternoon. And real privilege. I'm extremely excited to be here to share with you a little bit of perspective from East Asia. My name is Zhang Gao. I'm the president of the National Tsinghua University in Taiwan. Taiwan is a small country, as you know. We have about 27 million people. We actually have a lot of tall mountains. And obviously, some of you may know, Taiwan is also known for bubble tea. And we have a very rich culture with 16 different indigenous groups. But I think you're here because we're talking about technologies and semiconductors. And yes, Taiwan has TSMC. So the topic, the theme of today, obviously, is technological sovereignty. And allow me to share with you my view on this particular topic. If you're interested, there will be a few QR codes for you to scan. I hope we can continue this conversation long past my 15 minutes of presentation. So why do we care? What is so special about technological sovereignty? You will hear a lot of discussion, lots of definition. But in short, it's about privacy, data privacy, personal privacy. It's about data security. It's about the countries being economically competitive. And it's about national security, all these things. But the road to technological sovereignty is not so simple, as you can imagine. And a lot of countries, namely, there's fairly big countries on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean that have done many things in the past 12 months to try to achieve technological sovereignty. And at NTHU, at my university, we've been hosting this high-level dialogue with friends all around the world to hear different voices and different views on this particular topic. So just a couple of weeks ago, we hosted the latest meeting in Taipei, looking at geopolitical implication of Trump 2.0. There's a QR code there if you're interested in the program, as well as the paper. We have presenters from India, Singapore, Indonesia, Japan, Korea, of course, Taiwan. It makes a very interesting reading. And the poster really reflects that. Trump looking over Greenland to Europe and to Asia. As we know, in the past 12 months, a lot of things have happened on the world stage. The trade wars, the decouplings. But all these things, all these big moves, really did not affect or deliver the result that was anticipated. We all know that China's trade surplus hit a historical high of $1.2 trillion. Taiwan also did really well. It smashed all previous records. And South Korea, Vietnam, Malaysia, Ireland, Brazil, Saudi Arabia, the list goes on and on. So how did this happen? With all the import-export controls, all the tariffs, it really did not affect the larger picture, the macroeconomics. If anything, it delivered the results much better than any of us could ever anticipate it. And let me share with you one example of how we can understand this. It was several years ago, 5 years ago, when the COVID pandemic took over our lives. And during that period of time, there's one simple medical device called the respirator that was absolutely critical to save the lives of COVID patients. But we also know that there was a short supply of respirators. And as a result, unfortunately, many people died. And it's a very simple technology, but if you look inside, it has multiple components. Of course, batteries, motors, semiconductors, so on and so forth. All these components are manufactured by different companies all around the world. So when we look at a particular device, particular technology, particular product, we have to remember that it is multi-component. And it involves elaborate supply chains, manufacturing, supply chain management, logistics, et cetera, et cetera. To look at this as a whole, the technological value chain involves core technologies, heavily rely on R&D. It requires component manufacturing. It could happen anywhere in the world. Assembly, marketing, sales, distribution, logistics. The story of the respirator actually occurs because there was a short supply of logistics and manufacturing, assemblies, and after-sales services. So what that means is that if we want to aim for technological sovereignty, we have to understand the larger picture. And there are options for us to implement to achieve technological sovereignty, okay? Standardization, this is absolutely critical. Sovereignty doesn't mean we just close the doors and do everything in our little world. It means that there has to be a global standardization process, property rights, including intellectual properties, financing, governance, import-export control and tariff. That's what Trump government wants to do, and would they use that? Try to achieve technological sovereignty. Legal, regulatory, arbitration. We need to have a global system, global institution in arbitrations. And cultural alignment. Things might work in Taiwan, but might not work in France, or things might work in Japan, but doesn't work in Brazil. So we have to understand this larger context. So to implement or to drive or to move towards this technological sovereignty, we have to look at the forest. We have to look at the big pictures. And what do we need with all these things that we have to consider, all these things we have to implement? And I will argue that we need to have a very robust regulatory and ethical framework for us to communicate, for us to work together as partners. We need to have new breed of talents, new talents that can operate in this global context, but while committed to the growth of local governments or countries or regions. We need to establish new market opportunities. Before iPhone, we did not have smartphones. We never realized that we needed smartphones. So Apple was really good at creating a new market for new products. So establishing new market opportunities, and we need infrastructures, international collaborations, because we need these international institutions, and obviously research, development, and innovation. And from this chart, I think everybody here can appreciate the importance and the unique roles of universities. Universities around the world plays a very important part in contributing to these enablers. Now, of course, I'm here. I'm from National Tsinghua University, so I do a little plug on our universities. We're a relatively small university, so comprehensive, 13 colleges, everything from, of course, economics, political science, STEMs. We have about 18,000 students, half graduate, half undergraduate. Female-male ratio is about 1:1. And we have several programs that we encourage international talent mobilities and mutual learnings. And we call that the Blue Ocean program. And we welcome and we want to empower talents around the world with different backgrounds to come together and find solutions for the variety of problems that we're facing. So I would be more than happy to speak with you, all the young people here and maybe not the senior people, if this is of something interest to you. And I'm very happy to be here to also announce the establishment of our University Science Park. And after a visit in Grenoble in the past few days, this is an area where we can bring together not just academics, but also industries. So in this research park, we already have joint R&D centers with some of the biggest names in the innovation space, such as TSMC, NVIDIA, Delta, and so on and so forth. So this is a place where we believe the private sectors and the academia can come together to develop the kind of talents that we need for the future. And there are several thematic research areas that I think some of this may be of interest to you. Of course, advanced nuclear energy, advanced semiconductors, quantum technologies, and early childhood educations, and so on and so forth. So these are some of the areas that we're looking for international collaborations, because we believe the road to achieve technological sovereignty is actually through partnership. And one particular college that could be of interest to a lot of you is we established the College of Semiconductor Research. This is really an example of where industries and academia come together. It is the first and the only academic partner of TSMC. So it's a physical R&D center located on the campus, and the education curriculum is co-developed by our professors as well as industry partners, because they are most sensitive to the future trend of, say, semiconductors and the geopolitical challenges that faces the industry. So the college has 4 components. It has a component pillared, a design pillared, materials, process and R&D, and basically applications. So this is one place where we're looking for international partners. So in summary, I firmly believe that technological advancement needs multilateral institutions ever more. That the fragmentation or the dismissal of international institutions like WHO, like United Nations, is really an impediment for countries to come together and look at the complex issues surrounding the topic of technological sovereignty. And the key point for making things happen, obviously, is the people. So cross-cultural intelligence with the ability to integrate knowledge domains, whether it's different technological domains or social science, geopolitics, is absolutely a necessity in cultivating future talent. We know that because we're neighbors with all these big tech companies like NVIDIA, like TSMC, and they're telling us they're really worried about not having enough talent that can work across culture domains, that can work across different disciplines, that can anticipate a problem using different perspectives from geopolitics to technical. And I'd like to conclude that collaborative mindset is absolutely a must. That's why we're here. That's why we want to engage. That's why we want to work with more French companies and educational institutions. Thank you so much for your attention, and more QR codes for us to continue the conversation. Thank you.